Awesome. All right, so today I'm going to talk about this big blue thing, Ionic. Real quick, this is me. I'm this guy. I've worked with Angular since before 1.0, like back in spring 2012. I found it right before the release, and I just loved it. And I've always been trying to do hybrid app stuff with it. And always been trying to get Angular plus a hybrid app to actually feel good, feel like a native app. You know, I'm on my phone, and users will actually think it's native. And I feel like with Ionic, we've actually done that. So I'm going to show you guys that today. Real quick, Ionic, if you don't know, I'm going to define it in less than 100 words. Ionic is a SDK to help you take an app helps you build a hybrid app. A hybrid app is you take a native container on your phone and you put a website inside. And basically, you're hoping you can fool the user into thinking they're interacting with a native component, but they're actually just interacting with a website. So with Ionic and Angular, it feels like a native app, which is awesome. So I actually don't have any slides. Let's go to a demo. I'm going to make an Ionic app for you guys. All right, so we have a tool called Ionic. Obviously, you can install it with Ionic, with npm install global Ionic. So I'm going to make a directory app. It's kind of like contacts kind of thing, just for an example for you guys. So this is going to download Cordova, which is a native wrapper. It's going to download. This might be slow. So I had a plan. I have a plan. I have this thing called directory local app. So we'll pretend Ionic downloaded all our things for us. We'll pretend that we had internet. And now see, OK, so we would just pretend we just cloned the app from Ionic Start. And now we get this little scaffold. This scaffold has Bower, a gulp file, everything you need. It's got a Cordova wrapper around it, so you can easily just start an app, emulate. So the way it comes right after you clone the app, it's ready to just run. We just have a blank app template. So I'm going to add the iOS platform, and then I'm going to run it in the simulator. Oh, wait. I'm going to run it with the live reload flag. So we're going to run an app in the emulator, or we could do this on a device, and it's going to reload every time we save. So we got this lovely Ionic blank starter. And let me go to another window, go to directory local app. All right, so we got this Ionic blank starter. We can do whatever we want with it. Better close this. So can everybody see this text? Yell at me if it's invisible. And yell at me if I make a coding mistake and you see it. If you make a typo or something. I'm very open to that. So yeah, we want to change this stuff. It just reloads instantly. All that cool stuff. All right, so I'm going to make a simple app which will load a list of contacts from the randomuser.me API. So first thing we want to do is we want to add a nav bar. This is a bar which will update as the user navigates. We add a nav view, and this is like an ng view kind of, except it has cool transitions and states and everything built in. So we reload. We have nothing, obviously, because we haven't built any views. So let's open our app.js, and let's add a state, a default state. So we're going to config, add state provider, and we're going to add a state. Let's just call it people. This is going to be our state where we list all our contacts. So we're going to put it as /people. We're going to have a people controller. And then we're going to have a template called people. Be pretty easy. And then let's add our controller. It's just going to take a scope for now. We're just going to create like an empty page for now.
Can you make it a little bigger?
Yes. Thank you. If I need to, guys, is this good? I can also just put the simulator separate, so I'm just focusing different things. Is this good? Can you guys see it?
Can you make bolder by any chance?
Bolder. That's a good question. Let's see.
Percent on the right-hand side. It's not bold enough.
Okay, not bold enough. Let's see. Thanks for telling me. I had a bug with iTerm, so I switched to terminal really quick. How do I change the font in here? Text. Aha. Okay. So let's try Minlow. Minlow is pretty. Okay. There we go. Can you guys, everybody see it? In the back, yell at me. Okay, awesome. So, okay, we got our people controller. now we're going to make a template. So we made a template. We call it template/people.html. Let's make a templates folder. Let's make people.html. Oops. Whoa, I pressed a weird key. The thing with Vim is it's really nice unless you accidentally press something. All right. I accidentally pasted in stuff. OK, cool. So we're going to have our template. Let's get rid of this file browser. All right, so this is a template that will be loaded into the Ion nav view, which is placed, like loading something into an ng view. So we create this Ion view parent. We're going to give it a title, which is going to give the title on the nav bar above the app. That's what a nav bar looks like. We're just going to call it people. Then we're going to add a content, this is just a scrollable container for content, obviously. And then we're going to create a list, because this is going to be like a contacts kind of thing. We're going to have a list of people. And then we're going to ng repeat over some people again, because we really like people in this case. Even though we're programmers, we still like people, right? All right. So we're going to make this have a class. So everything I'm doing is clearly documented on the ionicframework.com website. We have source-generated documentation. It's pretty awesome, pretty beautiful. I know I used the word beautiful in a presentation. You can go lynch me later. Item avatar. So this will just make it be styled like an avatar item. So I'm just going to get some bindings. These are going to match the format of the people we get back from the user.me API, which we're going to set up in a second. So we're going to set the thumbnail for the person. We're just going to set the title of this thing to be person.name.first. And then we're going to set the description to be the person's email. All right, so we've got a template. So last thing we need to do is go to our app.js, and we need to set the default URL for the app to /people, because it's going to index right now. So we have URL router provider dot otherwise /people. OK, so boom, we have a page loading. And as you see, it's like completely instant. So let's add our people now real quick. So we're going to make just a service called people, which does simple HTTP requests to fetch people from the random user API. So let's just make a people hash or object, which we're going to return. And let's give it a list field, which is just an array of people. Let's give it an add function, which is going to fetch a person, random person, and add it. So this add function is going to return our HTTP request promise from api.randomuser.me. And then it's going to give us back a user. Now, randomuser.me nests the user in this really weird array with one result called response.data.results.user. It's kind of weird. OK. And we're just going to push this onto our array, because that's what we care about for this example. All right, so we got people. Let's also fetch some initial people. People.add. And then last thing I'm going to add just right now, I'm going to add a promise onto the people service that will be resolved when all the initial people are fetched using q.all. If you guys haven't used q.all, you basically give it an array of promises, and it will resolve once all those promises are resolved. So this is just going to resolve once we fetch our initial 3 people. All right, so we've got 3 people. Let's go to this people control, inject the people service, set scope.people equals people. And now we have these people which aren't rendering. So this is when you pull out your browser, folks. Oops. If you can type your port name correctly. And we figure out what is on this scope. Thanks to Batarang, which Brian so kindly gave us all. OK, so my person is a function. OK. So we have this random user, which we got. It's console.log this response.data.results0.user. Oh, we need to set this to people.list. I promise I practiced this, guys. All right. All right, so we're setting the people to the list of people, not the whole people service, because that would be really stupid. So we have these people now, and they have images. But the random user API seems to like to cache my requests sometimes. So I'm going to add this query string just to cache bust it. So this is just going to say Q equals 0, 1, 2 for every new user we ask for. All right, so we have random users. Pretty awesome. How about we add a loading spinner with Ionic that will add loading while the users are loading. Luckily, we have this promise which tells us when the users are loaded, just by coincidence. Isn't that funny? So we're going to show a loader while the users are loading. We'll just make it say loading for now. And then once the people are ready, then we are going to hide the loader. And now, awesome. See, even slow internet works. So let's add so Ionic ships with a whole set of icons we call Ionicons, which we made ourselves. Some look like Android, some look like iOS, some just look like Ionic, which is always the best. So let's add an icon called Ion Loading A, and then a BR. Okay, I don't like that spinner. Let's try C. C is always my favorite. Yeah, there you go. All right. So can you guys see the app over here okay, by the way? Anyone in the back, just yell at me really loud, bigger or something. I won't know if you yell it in French, though. All right, so we got these people. Let's add a new first, actually. Let's allow you to create new people. Let's do it. Let's add pull to refresh, because that would be really nice if we could just pull down and fetch a new person, right? So let's go to our people.html. We have a really cool little directive called Ion Refresher. What do you know? That you can customize this more. You can add custom text or icons while you're refreshing. But for now, we're just going to say on refresh, we are going to add a new person. And then add person is obviously a method we haven't made yet. So it's kind of just going to spin forever and ever and ever. So let's add this add person method. So this will just call people.add. Okay, so when you are running a refresher, you have to tell it when to finish, obviously, because it has to know, oh, I'm done spinning. The user needs to know. So all we do to tell the refresher it's done spinning is we broadcast this simple event. And this is all documented. I know it seems like magic, but it's really well documented, I promise. So this will load. Then we have our users. Let's add a new user. Oh, awesome. It's just working, unless I do that. There we go. Okay. So we have a loader in 15 minutes. We have a loader. We have our cool stuff. Let's try to add a new page. I've got time. Yes. I have till 10:40, I think. Cool. Okay, so that's a new page. Let's go to our state provider. First, let's add a new state called person. This is just a details page for a person. We're going to call the URL /person/index. We're going to make a person control. And then we're going to load this template from person.html. All pretty simple. All right, now let's add our person control. Oh, and we're also going to inject a person using resolve. This state, by the way, the state stuff you see if you aren't familiar is UI router, which I don't know if they're going to talk about it while we're here. But it's a third-party project. We use it in Ionic to manage your history in your app because we have to have really, like you can have multiple histories in a native app where like you'll be on one tab and you go in 3 pages, then you switch tabs, you go in 3 pages, then you switch back and you have to have the old history preserved. UI router helps us do that really easily and do cool transitions, which you'll see in a sec. So we have resolve. We're going to resolve with a person. So we have this state params.index that we made right here. And then we have the people service we're going to get the person from. So once the people are ready, once all the initial people are fetched, we're going to get people from, we're going to get the person matching the index given in the URL. And then, well, let's just set this to scope. So now let's make our template to be sure this actually works. This is the riskiest part right here, guys. I'm making a service, a controller, a URL, a resolve all at once. So we'll see what happens. All right. So we've got, let's make our template. Person.html. So again, we're going to make an Ion view. Let's just title it person for now. Later, we'll put the person's name into the navbar because that would just be better. And it's always better to make it better. All right, Ion content. scrollable area. For now, let's just spit out the person, just to see if it works. All right, so last thing we need to do is link to the person in the people.html file. So we're going to add an href to this ion item. Ion item supports hrefs. And we're going to go pref or href. I don't ever know which one to say. We're going to go to person/$index, which is matching the ng repeat index matching this person, which matches the index of it in people.list, which will then run the resolve we just created. All right, and last thing, very last, is we want to go to our index.html, and we want to add a back button. So this ion navbar, this is the navbar that controls your whole app. This will display titles. It'll transition between titles on pages. And also, it will display back buttons when you transition to a new view in the same history stack. So we only have one history stack in our app, obviously. So we have ion nav back button. We're just going to make it say back. And that doesn't work. OK. This happens every time I do this.
Joslin 34, there was a plus.
Thank you. No, that plus is because that's a string, state params.index. But thank you. Yes, you said something. OK, we have scope.person. So we have the person controller. We have the template. We have the person/index. So now it's time to go to Chrome. Because sometimes you just have to go to Chrome, you know? OK, so we got, it's changing the URL really fast, you can see at the top. So that means our new page is not loading correctly for a reason that I'm not sure of yet. It's a good question. I make that mistake. I practiced this until 3:30 last night, so I'm surprised I'm conscious right now. Yes, thank you. It's not a function, it's a field. Oh, there we go. Thank you, person, audience person. All right, we have our person. OK. So do you guys want to see theming or an action sheet to delete an item? Theming. OK, let's do theming. All right, I'm going to make this back button prettier real fast. Index.html. Let's make this a button icon. So let's go back to the simulator because it's prettier. All right, so yeah. By default, we'll style all these icons you see on the back button according to the current platform. So this is a back button that looks like iOS. On Android, it would look like Android. The view transitions would look like Android. Right now, they look like native iOS, obviously. So let's try theming this a little bit. Let's make this bar positive. This just makes it blue. OK? What if we want to? So Ionic comes with several colors. They're all described by these crazy adjectives called like positive, energized, calm, assertive, etc. Let's make our back button be assertive, just because we're cool like that. OK, well, while it's loading, oh, that didn't work because we can't do that to back buttons because they have to be the same color as the navbar. That's OK. All right, let's customize this positive color we just did. It's really easy. We ship with this SCSS file called ionic.app.scss, which will automatically recompile with our library load task, which is right here. So let's set positive to pink. Because who doesn't want a pink app? Boom. All right. Let's say we wanted these names to be like orange or something. Let's go to our people.html and change this name to be energized. So you can just apply a color class to anything, and it'll set the color the best it knows. And for specific components, we have like bar positive or button positive. But here we're just going to set the energized class, and it'll just set the color for us. OK, cool. Let's change the energized color. So everything that's energized in our app, we want it to be, I don't know, color? Anybody? Purple. Ooh, great idea. Pink and purple. It's like the royal Barbie. All right. So yeah, we have a bunch of cool stuff. And I still have time to do the action sheet. Who wants to see an action sheet when you delete a user that looks pretty cool? OK, so we're going to go into person.html. person HTML, but I have to refresh my sticky thing, or my fuzzy search. All right, let's just create a button. Button icon, button full. So these are our classes that'll make the button have a transparent background. It'll make it take up the whole page, and it'll make it red by default. So we're going to have a assertive button called delete user. Woohoo! So we're going to be able to delete these guys, these annoying random people. So let's just on-click, delete user. Cool. All right, so let's look at this button we made. Oh, it's nice, but it's not colored. Button icon, button full. Maybe I just do assertive. Oh, there it is. Okay, so you don't need the button class. All along, I was wrong. Okay, so I need to refresh this simulator because it's stuck on this page, because it refreshed on a page, but there's no history. So we're going to add this delete user function. So we're going to use this thing called Ionic action sheet, which is pretty cool. Makes me go wow every time. Not every time, I'm lying, but that's marketing. We got Ionic action sheet.show inside of our delete person function. Is that what we called it, delete person? Let's just check. People.person.html. Delete user. Let's call it delete person because we don't have users, we have people. Okay. And then go app.js. Okay, Ionic action sheet.show. So this has several options. It's very similar to the API for the iOS action sheet. Basically, you can supply destructive text, which will automatically be read. We're going to call this delete person.name.first. And then we're going to have cancel text, which is cancel. And then we have a specific callback just for the destructive button. All these options are documented. Destructive button clicked. And that will splice our user out of the array. Let's just make sure it shows first. So we're going to delete our user. Cool. Okay. So we're going to actually make it delete the user. Let's go to people.list.splice, people.list.index of person 1. And then let's just go back. So we're going to delete the person, then we'll go back to the person list. Cool. Easy. And then we refresh, we get new users, we got our cool little loading thing, all in about 20 minutes. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, that's all I had planned, but I still have 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So what do you guys want to make with Ionic? Say again?
World domination.
World domination. I already did that. Android emulator. That is always a difficult one. I have Genymotion. Let's try it. Genymotion. This is getting dangerous, guys. Unrehearsed live coding. We'll see what happens. Okay, okay. I'll come up afterwards. We'll have a talk. All right, we can press play. So I'll talk a bit about why I think Ionic is so great. Because we are perfectionists. We go for everything to make it feel like native. I mean, if you look at something like jQuery Mobile, they try to be a responsive web framework, which makes it look like a responsive web framework, not an actual app. Ionic, we focus only on apps on a device. We don't focus on the web, on like a web app. We have one focus, which has enabled us in a year to make this crazy experience on your phone where you can have something that actually feels like a native app. Like we've had several featured iOS apps on the App Store. Recently one called S-Workit. It's like Sworkit. It's like circuit training for training yourself with physical exercises. But it's really cool. I gave it to my friends, and they were like, this is just a normal app. And I was like, wrong, it's an Ionic app. And yeah, Ionic's really great, really easy to theme, and we're just perfectionists about all these little details. Like this little shadow you see on the side as it goes back. There's like 3 things going on during this page transition. Then when you go back, the old page will slide over. There's a box shadow on the side which transitions out, and the page that's coming in has a half opacity mask over it that fades out. All these little things that iOS does that we just had to copy. It's a lot of really hacky stuff sometimes. So let's try to get our emulator to run for Android. Genymotion is better than the Android emulator. Genymotion did not pay me to say this. They are awesome. All right, so we're just going to run this in the Android browser because I don't want to even try to get an app running. So let's get our IP, 192.168.56.255.56.8100. Oh. 168.56. That should be right. Oh, right. Thank you. I'm not very good at the internet. All right. So yeah, we got our Android thing here. You see the transition is different. It's kind of cut off on the side. Transition is different for everything. It's just a normal. Maybe we have to set an option for that in Ionic config. That's new. I don't know. Adam made it. All right, but we do have different icon for back here, I believe. So I may have been completely wrong. I know there's an option to set platform-specific defaults in Ionic config. That's in the documentation. But yeah, I promise it's there. But yeah, that's Ionic. Comment to me afterwards if you have questions. And thank you for the suggestion. And
Can you ask who's the guy who answered your question? Can you ask who is the guy who answered?
what's your name? Hyman. Okay, I think there's a prize for you or something.
There you go.
Nice.
A Chromecast and a Raspberry Pi.
See, guys, it pays to give feedback. Can I do questions?
Yeah, sure.
4 minutes?
Sure.
Okay. I can do, is my mic still on?
Well, these are.
Okay. I can do 4 minutes of questions if anybody has any Ionic questions. You in the blazer. Yes. Tablet support, it works on tablets. There are about half of our components, I'd say, are responsive and will work great on tablet. I mean, they'll change layout a bit to look more like a tablet thing. Like the modal will change from bringing a complete page up on a phone to bringing up a little box that lays over the app. It'll work great. It'll work on a tablet. I can't say with confidence that everything looks like it belongs on a tablet, but it will work, and we're working on more things for that. You in the sun shirt, right there by the column. Yes. Can you speak a little louder? How do we test Ionic framework? Okay, we have a. How do we test Ionic framework? Thank you. I'm new to speaking. So we have a. We run like. We just broke 1,000 unit tests. Where's Adam? Right? Whatever. I think it's about 1,000 unit tests. And we also have this thing we actually made called Ionic Snapshot, which we're planning to provide to users in the future, which will, whenever every release, we go through all of our pre-built Ionic demos for each component, and we take screenshots, and we compare them to last release's screenshot in all the major browsers we support, and we see if it looks the same. That seemed like that was the best way. It's a lot easier than trying to end-to-end test all these advanced UI components. We just take screenshots of them and trigger clicks to make things happen, and then take another screenshot, and then we use image algorithms to compare. So we have unit testing, and then we have screenshot comparison. And our CI server on every commit, this is really awesome. We build our docs, we push to the CDN, the nightly version, which is the master version. We run unit tests, we do all the JS hint stuff, and we distribute like a lot of stuff. On release, we do like 8 tasks on our CI server. So we have a lot of automation and testing built in. Right. So right now, Ionic works. Yes, Ionic on desktop, tablet, and mobile. I want to build an app on all of those. And how do I do it? So Ionic, we chose not to focus on desktop because, well, there's just so much work to do, and if we focused on everything, it wouldn't be where it is right now. The future after 1.0, we may support desktop. We aren't sure yet. Ionic will work on a desktop. It's just random things like selecting text will act weird or scrolling will act weird on the desktop. I would suggest reusing your controllers and services and making new templates on desktop. ETA for 1.0 is when it's ready, hopefully this year, hopefully. But don't quote me on that, but I'm being filmed, so you will. Yeah. Creator beta is out. We are fixing it. We have pretty good amount of beta users now. There are obviously beta bugs, but we're polishing and improving it constantly, and people are liking it pretty well. We have Creator. It's a drag and drop app. You create a prototype of an app, like you can build out your buttons and I won't try to open it right now. But your buttons and your whole app navigation structure, and then you can just export an app with JavaScript and finish coding it. And that is all the time I have. Thank you, everyone.